right, y'all. Rick Smiley, the morning show. A lot of stuff going on about the Shanquella Robinson case. I don't know if y'all heard that. It's the Mexican prosecutors have filed charges against a suspect in the death of Shanquella Robinson, the 25-year-old American woman who died October the 29th while on vacation with 6 of her friends in Cabo, Mexico. So now the Mexican authorities have not publicly named the American woman that they are seeking to extradite, but have confirmed it is one of the friends who traveled with Shanquella. I'll make sure I'm saying her name right because I don't want to be disrespectful. So on the line right now to break it down, we got the one and only attorney Glennon 3. Glennon, good morning.
Good morning, Ricky, and good morning to the radio audience.
Man, thank you for coming on this morning. Glennon, how does all of this work now? A crime was committed in Mexico, and how is this worse for the suspect? And just break it all down for us.
It is worse for the suspects, Ricky, because what it seems now is that Mexico has decided to get off its behind and prosecute these people. They've issued an arrest warrant for one unnamed person. Everybody that's following the story believes it's Dejanay Jackson that the warrant is for. And so they're probably going to charge her with the crime of femicide, which is the murder of a woman under circumstances involving violence. So it looks like they're finally going to prosecute at least one person. I would be surprised if at least several others are not charged, particularly because there appears to be a second video that I have not seen that shows the involvement of perhaps another person in her death.
Well, how does extradition work?
The way it works is that you identify an individual where there's a warrant outstanding from another country, and if there's an extradition treaty between the place where the person is physically and where they're sought, then they can be extradited under the warrant that's issued from the other country. We've had an extradition treaty with the country of Mexico for 45 years, so there's no doubt that they will be extradited.
So they just come to the United States and get them?
No, the United States will send them there. They'll just put them on an airplane and send it to Cabo.
What? So the FBI will find them and arrest them. They probably already got eyes on them to making sure that that they don't run, and they'll just go and arrest them, put them on a plane, and send them to Mexico.
Yeah, the same way they would execute a domestic warrant. And I'm sure they know where she is. If she's using a cell phone, they can locate her pretty quickly.
So would it just be her that gets charged? Because what about the people that were standing around watching and videoing and didn't do anything? Does that matter that they didn't stop it or do or say anything?
Well, it matters because it's hard for me to believe that they weren't involved from the outset. And here's why. There's no reason for people that were not involved in the crime from the beginning to conceal the truth once they're back home. Because some of these friends, quote unquote, came over to the mother's house and looked the mother in the face and told her bald-faced lies for at least 2 to 3 days about the death of their daughter. And that's the part of the case that really just makes me just flash high red. I can't imagine you going to somebody's house and telling their mother a lie about how their child died.
And took her luggage.
And took $10,000 from her, too.
Ooh.
What?
Took her luggage to her mom's house.
Wow. So I'm sure that all of these so-called friends, when they got back to the States and they realized, we're probably in some hot water, what do you think they're probably doing or thinking or coming up terms of a defense for their behavior?
And to add to that question, if you were representing one of them, what would you be telling your client?
I'd be telling my client to get in the front of the line and snitch on everybody else. That's what I'd be telling them. And try to minimize their involvement.
That's right.
And the first one to tell is going to be the first one to get a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure they split up the money.
My goodness.
So, Glenn, if they get convicted in Mexico, tell us about how they issue sentences in Mexican prison.
Well, the charge that she's probably going to be charged with, which, as I said earlier, is femicide, has a 20-year mandatory minimum sentence, up to 50 years. And so if convicted, the person would be facing at least 20 years in a Mexican prison. And from what I understand, Mexican prisons are no joke.
I heard that before, too. Ooh.
Yeah, that's what Woo!
And here in the United States, can the family sue these friends? Do they have any recourse in terms of legal action against these so-called friends?
They can bring a civil action against her for wrongful death. But, who knows if they have any money? It may just be it may just be a waste of time to sue somebody that doesn't have any assets.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if these other young people had any money. It looks like Shanquella was paying for everything.
Exactly. That's what I'm about to say. She paid for the trip to Cabo, so they probably don't have anything. And just imagine what the death threats that all of the everybody that's involved getting right now.
Yeah.
They mama probably turned their parents and loved one probably turned their phones off. Then they got an innocent guy mixed up because he has the same name and the same resemblance of one of the guys that actually went to Cabo that was filming. So they had to make some videos to protect them and say, hey, it's not me. We all in the same circle and have the same name and we resemble, but I didn't go to Cabo.
Right. And there was one guy, Ricky, that made a video and said he got there afterwards, and he said no one's mentioning a nurse that came or something, and then he talked to Shanquella and she was still alive. So do y'all think that these people left thinking that this girl was still alive and they just left her? It's so many unanswered questions.
Well, Brad, that depends on whether or not you believe the timeline. There are two timelines in this case. There's a timeline in the autopsy that says that she died about 3:16 p.m. Then there's a timeline in the police report that says that the police were called about 20 after 2 o'clock, and that when they arrived, they stayed there for over 2 hours trying to resuscitate her, giving her electric shocks and adrenaline and stuff like that, trying to bring her back to consciousness. And so the police report indicates that the time of death was after 5 p.m. So it kind of depends on who you believe.
Wow. All right, man, Glenda, thank you for always giving us updates and giving us the legal aspect of certain situations. Let everybody know how you can be reached.
They can reach me on Twitter at g3@twitter.com.